Hello, welcome back. Yes, it rolls around about every 2 months or 2.5 months, roughly something like that. World building, where we make a world, but we're also going to have to go through the process of explaining how to do that, or at least the way that I do it, for those of you who are interested. And I hope that you find some use of this because the intention is that you'll be able to do this fairly quickly. I've never really been fond of the idea that it is going to take you such a long time to get something done that's fairly essential if you're going to actually run your own games. So that's why we want to do it this way. I'm going to put up a poll. Feel free to take part in that poll. Yes, I'm going to rattle through essentially my main presentation. There's a slight change to it, but only slight. And then we will make a world. We will literally make a world in about an hour and a half. And there you go. You will see how to do it. You'll have some practice, and also more than likely, you have a whole bunch of people assisting you in that process. So let's get started, shall we? Hi, welcome to How to RPG. My name is Fred Wheeler, and today I want to talk about role-playing games. And yes, it's world building. This is Game Master preparation. This is Lesson 8, world building, where we go through the process of how do you actually do it for your tabletop role-playing games. Okay, overview. I'm going to be covering sources of world building, where you can get your ideas from, mapping out the world. Yes, we're going to do a bit of mapping today. Naming the world and continents. World creation stories. That's right, you're going to have to deal with some world creation stories. Choosing gods and goddesses or deities. Developing the world locations, developing government, determining the world's magic, if there is any, technology, creating species and monster populations, and then, of course, some miscellaneous recommendations, just as I always do when I run these sorts of things. So the objectives: explain how to build a world for your tabletop role-playing game, demonstrate that process, and allow you to come along, take that journey and practice with me and everybody else. Now, sources of world building. Where can you get the sources of world building from? There are so many. So I always recommend you go for the best one, which is always personal experience. Whatever personal experience you have from your journey in the world, this is where you should draw a lot of your world building from and creation from. Modifying history for fantasy and science fiction worlds that you might be creating. History is a really good source. Stealing pop culture, such as Middle Earth, Oz, Narnia, any of that sort of stuff. Player input, getting your players to do some of the work for you. So let them play the game and use their backstories and their characters to help create the world as they journey. As they explore, as they journey through the world, you'll add in stuff that is related to their character and pull directly from some of the things that they suggest. It's always an easy thing. Get somebody else to do the work for you. Right, mapping the world. Mapping the world always seems like a big, huge task, like everything else. Probably not as big as just let's create an entire world, but you can just draw the world for your role-playing game, and it can be achieved a couple of different ways. You can simply scribble on a white piece of paper with a pen or a pencil a continent. Or if you don't want to start with the continent and you want to just start really small, it could be just a village or a town. And you just scribble it out real quick. Okay, that is your first draft. Software programs that allow custom maps to be drawn in detail. There's lots of them out there. You can have detailed maps by looking at real maps. Take an existing map that exists in the world. It'll be some part of the world that you maybe not quite so familiar with and your players aren't familiar with, and you use that. You can also use random generators that will actually make a world map for you. You press a button, you might have a few prompts in it, and that's it. It does all the rest of the work for you. Okay, there's nothing wrong with doing something like that. It's all a different method, that's it. Naming the world. Pretty difficult sometimes, but here's the thing. What is the name of your world? What are the name of your continents? You only really need the name of the world to start off with, and in some cases you won't even need that, okay, when you're starting. You can do that later if necessary. Do the worlds and continents actually need names? Quite often you won't need them at all. When you're exposed to so many different history, so much history and so much pop culture, what you will find is there's potentially lots of different names for a continent or a world or a village or a town. Not everybody's going to call everything the same thing. You can also ask your players to name your world for you. You have 4 or 5 players, maybe more, and just get them to name the world for you, and they might have a different name each for what the world is called. Some of them you might like, some of them you might not, but you can take what you want and leave the rest. The same world can have many different names across different cultures and civilizations, as I mentioned before, so never concern yourself about locking yourself down to one name. There's also world name generators that can also work for you. Again, you press a button, it spits out whatever you need, and you're away. You're ready to go. The world creation story. Now, not everybody does this, but it's pretty important. What is your world creation story? How did the world come about? When it comes to any kind of fantasy world, when it comes to the real world, the actual story of how the world was created is probably one of the most important stories there. So it's probably something you want to consider working on. You can always say, well, nobody really knows how the world was created. It's a mystery. We just don't know. There are theories. There might be myths. There might be legends. But myths and legends, again, are stories. But again, you can always go down the route of nobody knows. Anybody can create different myths and legends for the creation of the world. But also to the game master, you can do this. Now, I'm going to give you a list of basic structures for world creation. Okay, the world creation stories are broken up into just a couple of different concepts. You pick the one you like, you modify it, you make it fit what you want to do, or your players do. It doesn't matter. The world is created by a supreme being. This is like Christianity, like you have a supreme being, creates the world, takes whatever length of time it's going to take, and there you go. Okay, that's the concept behind that. It's basically like Christianity. The world emerged over a long period of time as a metamorphosis occurs. So emerging over time, this might be coming out of something else, but it's also another, I guess the world could be created as a product of evolution. So evolution would be sort of that kind of thing going on there. But it might be something else. It might literally be something else completely. You know, it's metamorphosis just means change. Over some sort of change, some change occurs and the world emerges. Next one is 2 primal beings or super beings, usually a mother and a father, and they get together and they birth the world into existence. Then you have the world hatching from a cosmic egg, usually laid by a deity or god or goddess. Probably going to be something that, it's like a giant chicken laying the egg, and the egg becomes your world. Okay. You can have 2 companion gods that live together or live in the same space or live in whatever existence there is. One is represented as being good, one is represented as being evil, and by diving into a water source, one of them is going to pull the world into existence. Maybe both of them do. So that's very common. We see a lot of this, particularly in the Pacific Island region, where drawing out a landmass from water is quite common. Then you can also have the gods transforming something like a corpse of a dead giant or even another dead god into the world. So yeah, the transformation process can have a couple of different ways of doing that, and this is one where the gods are directly involved. And those are your basic world creation stories. So you take those, you take the one you like, you modify it, you make it fit what you need to do. Okay, well, we were talking about the creation story, the world creation story. We probably should talk about deities, gods, and goddesses. So how do you do this? So who are the deities for your world? You can simply ask your players who they worship and just go from there. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Just take that as a starting point. It doesn't have to be all of them. In fact, some players won't suggest that they worship anybody or believe in any gods. You actually know a ton of different gods from history, mythology, folklore that can be selected. So go use them. The things that you like, you can pour it over into your world creation process very easily. It's not hard to do. Next, stealing. Let's just steal some stuff. You steal from fantasy, steal from science fiction, steal from Dungeons and Dragons lore. Just pick something, okay? Or you can simply, and I'm going to suggest this, take from a pantheon from another culture, whether that be the Norse culture, the Egyptian culture, Greek, Celtic, Roman, Aztec, Hindu, Japanese, Chinese, Korean, it doesn't matter. You're not publishing this. You do not need to worry about, when you're doing this for yourself and your group, you don't have to worry about the social media platforms or the people on social media platforms giving you a hard time about doing this sort of thing, because it's none of their business, okay? You are simply taking concepts from another culture and transferring the bits that you like and you would like to include in your world into this process. It is not disrespectful. It is simply what everybody does. Okay, everybody takes something from somewhere else. It's if anything, it is more a show of respect than disrespect. Okay, I'm also going to suggest fantasy pantheons. There are quite a few. Galarion, Pathfinder has one of, Galarion's pretty basic. The Forgotten Realms, you've got Greyhawk, you've got Dragonlance, you've got Eberron, you've got Mystara. These are all sort of fantasy pantheons that you could use. Now, even if you take these concepts and use these ideas to create your gods and goddesses, you make slight adjustments. You change the details a little bit. You might reverse the names. You might change them round. How many gods and goddesses do you need? I always say just 5 will do. 5 is a good starting point. You don't need to have more than 5. Okay, you could have less than 5, but that's all you need as a good starting point. Heck, if you want to have 1, you can have 1. It doesn't matter. Okay, world locations. Now you need to have locations for the players to explore. So what are the locations in your world? What settlements are there? What cities? Does your world actually have city settlements? Or is everything going to be a little bit different? Is it going to be something else? Is it more of a wild place? It's untamed. There's many places around the world that you have seen, either with your own eyes or in pictures or on videos, that you can poach and then adjust for your group. What is the starting location in your world? This is one thing you need to consider. Whatever you do, however little work you do, you need to have a starting location, okay? And all it needs to be is I decide to put a dot right here on the world map. That's it. Heck, it doesn't even have to be a world map. You could just say, this is the place we start. Where does the characters come from? Where do the player characters come from? Whatever village or town they have created in their backstory, if they've written one, use that. That's a location. It doesn't have to be the starting location, but it's a location that you can incorporate into your world as one of the many other places. What about using your hometown, your own hometown or village that you come from, or even the hometown city that you come from? Use that city, town, or village, and then modify it. You can literally use the town map or the city map as a trace over it and use that. Now, something like the Game Mastery Guide for Pathfinder First Edition has a lot of information on location information. I highly recommend that book. You can get some stuff out of the Dungeon Master Guide for D&D 5e. There are usually, look, if there's anything you can be guaranteed, there's probably going to be some world creation stuff in a Dungeon Master Guide or a Game Master Guide. Some are better than others, but almost everything that you'll find in those types of books you can do without having to even buy them. They frankly don't do very much. I've always found them to be a poor source of resources. So you don't really need them. Okay, next, government. Who's in power? There's always somebody in power wherever you are in your world, and even if there isn't a government, there's somebody in power in the world. So who is it and what is it? You deal with government every single day of your life. You can figure out this stuff. It's not that hard to figure out. Okay? There are different types of civilizations. I've broken them down into their bare essentials. You can have lots of variations off this, but essentially it's the same. Okay? Your first one is a monarchy. It's ruled by a single sovereign leader who is limited by law and serves the citizens. This is your king or your queen. Yep. You have democracy. Probably most of you are pretty sure you know what that is. It is ruled by an elected representative or representatives that the citizens actually vote into power. So the citizens, the people of that nation, of that place, vote the government into power. Okay, and they hopefully do what they want them to do. This doesn't always work that way. Okay, oligarchy is a government formed by a few persons or people or a family. It's very much a tribal structure. For those of you who need something that's a bit easier to understand, think chieftain, tribal, okay, tends to transfer from one family member to the other. Next, authoritarianism. This is your dictatorship. This is where authoritarianism is where you have individual freedom of thought and action is opposed. So individual freedom is not allowed and individual action is not allowed, and a central leader, one individual, determines everything. And that doesn't mean that anybody underneath that central leader gets to have any say whatsoever. Your dictatorship. Then you have your theocracy, which is being ruled by sort of priests or the church or a temple or the agents of a deity, god or goddess. There might be more than one. Okay, I'm going to refer you back to the Game Mastery guide for Pathfinder First Ed Edition. I'm going to say right now that I find that the Game Mastery guide for Second Ed Edition is an extremely poor resource with regard to this. But the First Ed Edition, which is a bit older, I know, is probably far superior. And the Dungeon Master Guide for D&D 5e actually has quite a large list, but it repeats itself. It's really just, there's a lot of subsets coming off that section, okay? And I think there's about 2 pages of it. Really, you don't need all of that. You can break it down into what I've just talked about, and that's what I've suggested. Okay, cool. Next, world species. Now, your players are going to want to play something in this game. So the species that you have in your world, the races that you have in your world, you don't have to determine everything all at once. I'm going to make that clear. So what are the species and races in your world? Player characters haven't encountered every single species and race yet. This is why you have a world to explore in the first place. So you're only going to present a few of them. Pick a few that you know from fantasy fiction or add the rest and add the rest later. I always recommend just go with about 5. 5 is a good number. Okay, if you need to have more or less, that's fine too. Okay. Don't get too carried away. You can also modify real-world animals to create fantastical fantasy species and races. If you want to do that sort of thing, if you don't want to use what other people have done before, you can do this that way. Just modify real-world animals. And then if you really need to make it simple for yourself, whatever tabletop role-playing game you're playing, there's usually a player's handbook, and in the player's handbook, you'll find a handful of species and races, and you could select a handful of those. You don't have to use all of them. Just select a handful of them. That's what's in your world at this present time. Those are the options that players have to play in your world. They might come across more species and races later on, but not right now. That's it. It's very, very simple. It's not hard to do. You can do all of that in the space of a couple of minutes. It's not that difficult. Okay, world magic. What does world magic look like? Does your world have magic, and how does it work? You have to, of course, decide, do you have magic in your world? If you don't, you've answered that question, don't have to go any further. If you do have magic, what do we need to say? Well, is it high magic or is it a low magic world? Like, how common is magic in your world? You have to decide what that is. Also, too, like how magic works, you don't have to get too much into the nuance of magic. Because remember, it's kind of a ridiculous question. Because remember, magic is mysterious and amazing. It doesn't necessarily have an answer to the questions that you're looking for. It's not like science. Science is not necessarily magic. Okay, science might appear as magic to somebody who doesn't understand the science, but magic is magic, science is science. You also need to determine if you have magic in your world, are there magic shops? It's one of the first questions your players will ask, and if there are, what do they look like? What are you going to allow? Okay, probably one of the most important things, if you have magic, answer that question. Is there or isn't there, and where are they? Okay? Or does nobody know where they are? Is magic connected to technology or science in some way? Sometimes it will be, sometimes it won't. Can the dead be brought back to life with magic? Yes or no? What sort of spells will do that? Is transportation achieved by teleportation? Can you teleport from one location to the next with magic? Or is that off the cards? Are there different types of magic? And what are those different types of magic? Are we dealing with the schools of magic from D&D? Are we dealing with elemental magic? Are we dealing with spirit magic? What does it look like? What are the restrictions to the magic in your world? There's usually going to be some sort of restriction. Or are there no restrictions? No known restrictions, should I say. So a lot of different questions to answer. You don't have to answer them all at once, but the first few you probably do, okay? All right, next. World technology. What technology does your world have? Do you know about different types of technology from your life experience? Yes, you do. You went to school, so you should know something about technology. So you can answer this question. There are different stages to technology, and I will give you a basic rundown of them right now. Now you need to decide, whatever part of the world you're dealing with, what level of technology do they have? Are we dealing with just the creation of fire as energy? The first step, lighting a fire is the first step in technology. Windmills, so a mechanical mechanism that captures wind to create energy, to power a machine or a mechanism. Then there's steam power engines, so where you heat and boil water, creating pressure from the steam, okay, and force that through a series of pistons. Are you burning fossil fuels to power a machine, like oil? Are you using solar power, capturing the energy from the sun to be used later on to power the machines and equipment that you have? Are you just using electrical energy generation? And this can be generated many different ways, and you store it for later use. Electrical energy can be created from many different ways, all of which I've just mentioned. But there's also chemical reaction. Chemical reaction can create electrical energy. Okay. You can also use things like the transfer of or breakdown or decay of matter can create energy. You can use gases, which is again sort of going back to fossil fuels. Next is storing radiation from atomic energy, so breaking atoms apart or fusing them together, fission or fusion, to create energy or radiation, heat, things like that, and you use that energy to power your technology. Or is it far more advanced than all of that, and we're dealing with biological technology, where the technology is literally the ability to manipulate organic matter to create the technology you need, which would be probably one of the most advanced. Okay, so there's your different levels of technology. Now you know what they are. What about monster populations? If you're playing any kind of fantasy or science fiction game and you have a world to create, you want monsters in your world. What monsters do you have in your world? What creatures do you have? Everyone will find out as the campaign is played, including you as the game master or dungeon master, not just your players. Which basically means is select some creatures from a monster book, and there's your starting point. You will add more as you go. You don't need to have all of them determined straight off the bat. You just need to, as I've said, select 5. 5 is a good number. Go from there. Take inspiration from monster movies or science fiction or fantasy. The creatures and monsters you see in movies is really helpful to you. Use them to populate your world. Books on fiction, novels can fuel your imagination for monster creation. Steal those ideas. You can draw from real-world biology. Some of the things that you see in real-world biology, the things they dig up, are just unbelievable. And then, of course, there is a subset of anthropology and archaeology. And when it comes to that, whether it be anthropology or archaeology, there's a subset of things that are not mainstream. And a lot of those concepts, a lot of those findings get locked away in cupboards and various locations and get lost, apparently. they can give you all sorts of crazy ideas for your monster concepts that you can include into your world. I watch a lot of history, but I also watch a lot of anthropology and archaeology, and I can assure you, real world biology is bat nuts crazy. If you want weird, there's plenty of weird going on there. Okay. All right. That's your monster population. You just need 5. Now, whenever I do this, I like to give out some miscellaneous recommendations. And so that's what I'm going to do right now. First off, just make something. Just make some sort of world quickly. Get it started. Get it done. It should not need to require you to spend months working on it. You do not need to just lay out every single thing. Okay? One of the biggest problems that game masters have is they think that what they create for their world is super important and the players will want to know about it. And frankly, most of the stuff you will ever make for your world, your players couldn't give a shit. I hate to say it, it's the ego of the game master and the dungeon master to assume that the things in your world are really that important. They're not. They're really, really not. Okay? You do not need to lay everything out because there's always that temptation to try to drop it onto your players in a time and in a way that's inappropriate and not really that interesting for your players to experience. So don't create too much. Keep it basic. Add what you need as you need it. What is the plot of your campaign? I always hear this question. What is the plot of your campaign? You're building a world. You're not building a campaign. Building your world is different to the campaign or building an adventure. You never pull plot into world building. That's the adventure building thing. That's a completely different thing. So forget about that. That doesn't mean you can't have an overarching threat to your world. You certainly can. But is that really going to be the campaign plot that you're going to use when you're creating your adventures? This is not a novel. When you do world building for tabletop role-playing games, this is not a novel. It is not a book. You do not need to create plot. Plot unfolds as the players play your game in the world that you have, that you present. Okay, as it is required, plot will unfold as your players use their characters to play through your world, completing whatever tasks and adventures that you have. That is not world building. You don't need to do any of that. Your players deal with that stuff. No one knows the truth about anything. So even when you come up with something that you decide later on you don't like or you don't like right now, it doesn't need to be the absolute truth. It may be a complete lie. Because of the passage of time, because of bias and perspective, you can incorporate those concepts into your world. That means when the players come across something and they learn about it, that might not be the truth. It might be a complete fabrication. So you don't need to worry about those sorts of things. Nothing that you create for your world is locked in concrete. So you don't have to know everything. As a game master, when you're creating a world, you do not need to have everything. It is one of the worst things to hear people they're creating their own world and they're still going 6 months later. And I'm thinking, you should have just drawn your world up in about 30 seconds and got somebody to name it, whether it's you or somebody else, and then just start it. Just start it. Okay? You can add these things as you go. You do not need to worry about all of that stuff in advance. It's just not worth the effort. It's going to get lost. Your players aren't going to be that interested. You just need the bare bones. Okay? World creation never stops. Never stops. Okay. I hope this was useful to you. Thank you for watching and listening. I want to thank my patrons who support me on Patreon. Without them, I could not run this program every single 2 months, roughly. And this wouldn't be anywhere near as fun. So very much thank you to you. I hope this was useful to you. Please take it on board. Just get it done. Today is the day. We're going to do it shortly. Please join me. Make it happen. You can build your own world as we're doing one today. It doesn't have to be the one that I'm about to do. So, till next time, keep rolling those 20s. Okay, the hat is off already. For those of you who are wondering, what is going on? The hat is off already. It is really hot. My door is closed. I am actually sweltering and I am not keen on the idea of passing out during a live stream. So there's a lot of stuff going on here. I see people have commented a heap while I've been talking, which is great. We have 10 people here. I would like to think that out of those 10 people, all of you are going to be providing some ideas. But I have also realized that there is a problem with what I've been doing with world building for you here. This is the 11th time we've done it. And I think probably what I need to do is I need to give you something a little bit different, and I need to make sure I do one of the things that people always ask about, and that is drawing the map. Because people don't believe me that you can do this fairly quickly. They honestly think it's going to take a long time, and it shouldn't have to. So today is the day where I'm going to show you what I would normally do. Now, for those of you who are in the chat right now, I do apologize. I'm not going to try to go back through there and read everything. I'm going to put in some prompts in a second. I'm going to draw 2 maps today, and I'm going to draw them really fast. Really, really fast. Okay, we're going to shift my camera over. I already feel like I need to go to the toilet, which is ridiculous, but you know, this happens when you're like in your 50s. Everything wants to happen more often than you want it to. So this is a piece of paper. Now, whether you use a piece of paper and a pencil or you use a pen, I'm using Sharpie because if I use a pencil, you won't be able to see anything, right? So that's the only reason I'm doing it that way. So I'm going to draw a map, a world map. I'm going to do it fast. I think a great huge central continent would be fun. So I'm going to draw in a central continent like this with funny shapes, and actually maybe we should donut this thing. I'm going to put a C in the middle of this huge continent. It's almost like somebody had a donut and they bit into it. Let's go like that. And it's not very well shaped. It's kind of looking a bit wacky. We can put a couple of little islands inside. We can put some land masses on the outside of this big land mass. Okay, maybe some little islands here. Maybe there's a funny shaped sort of triangular, I don't know what going on there. And a lot of little islands and maybe a bigger island there. Okay, all right, there we go. That didn't take me long. That's all you need to do. Okay, this is your world. You just need a name for it. How long did that take me to do? That is your first draft. You do not need to worry about doing anything else just yet. You can run with your game with just that. Now, for those of you who are thinking, oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding. Fred, that's all very well. That's a world map. But what about where they're starting? The starting location, I need that. That's fine. Now, most towns start off with either a central road, one central road that runs right through the middle. If you think about the Old West and older villages and towns, how they were developed and set up in your medieval time, all they were just a single road leading through and some buildings on the outside, either side. Or it's a cross. So is it a straight line or is it a cross? You decide. I don't mind. I don't care. Let's do the simple one. Let's just go with simple straight road all the way through. And then maybe there's a little bit here just for our, I don't know, there's a statue there. All I got to do now is put some buildings in here on the side. As people were driving through, there's going to be some various buildings. And I'm doing this fast because I don't need to get too carried away. How many buildings do I need? Well, that's really up to you. How big are these buildings? Again, only up to you. This is your first draft. There you go. There's your town. There's your town. Okay, it could be a village. Doesn't need to be large. You literally got a town. You just need to put a name on it. You've got a world. You just got to stick a name on it. It doesn't even have to be the name that you create. It's as simple as that. It's really, really basic. I know that sounds ridiculous and it sounds like that doesn't seem professional. Stop worrying about being professional. Just get it done before you're dead and you can't do it. Do you know what I mean? Things can happen. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow or the next day? So might as well do the things that you would like to do. Don't wait. Never wait. Okay? It's always a mistake. Anyway, So what I'm going to do, hello Wally, how are you? I want to say a quick thank you to everybody in chat. It could be Donut City for all you like. It could be the Donut World. Oh look, I don't mind what you want to do with this. This is all cool. We'll deal with that in a second. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to say hi to everybody in the chat, and then I'm going to give you a prompt, and I'm going to do the first thing that we need to actually set up, and that is, as you know, the name of the world. So let's do the hashtag name the world. Hashtag what is the name of the world? Let's deal with that. Now, we might have to name the village as well. That's fine. That's all good. We can use whatever names we don't use for the world for the village or the town. Okay? That's my question to you. Start firing away, people. This is the time to do it. I want to say a big, huge thank you for Wally DM. Thank you for being here, buddy. I hope your day is going well. Noroak is a patron. Thank you for being here. Pale Rider, hello. How are you? It's so glad to have Noroak here. It's always fun when he is. Fred Hubert, also a patron. Thank you for being here. Love it. Nice to have you here. It's always good when we've got people who are willing to jump in there and fire off some ideas. And I know we're going to get lots of ideas today. Okay. So, oh my gosh. So everybody's going to call it the same thing. So I'm going to go use the toilet. I'm going to let you guys come up with some names. Okay. The known world. The known world. Okay. I just need just a few moments, okay, a few minutes just to get my bladder happy again. And then I'll be back. I've got a Google document. I'm going to share the Google document with you, and we're going to build a world in the space of about, well, less than an hour and a half. I said an hour and a half, but we have less time, so we'll do that in less time. That's fine. No problems. Okay, I'm getting back in the saddle here. Back into the saddle. I imagine that you guys have answered that question easily. For those of you who are unaware, please do not be scared off by the fact that I often have a lot of people in my live chat who come up with really good ideas and are quite forthcoming with a lot of that. You do not need to be concerned. Just join in the fun. It is nowhere near as serious as you might think. It really isn't. Okay, we're not we're not publishing. You're just dealing with your own stuff. You do not need to get concerned about nothing. Okay, so yes, let's move over to an actual document. I have a Google Doc here, so I need to do that. Let's find the Google Doc. Now this Google Doc is super simple. It is not complicated. There's nothing here that you can't handle. Okay, it is easy peasies. You see weird fantasy world building exercise. We have world continents and names. We're going to do with the world is what we're dealing with. We'll do races, we'll do gods, we'll do the world creation story, we'll do locations, settlements, and cities. We'll do monsters, magic, technology, and government. And that's probably good enough to start off with. I don't think you'll need very much more after that. That means you can build your own world in the space of about an hour and a half pretty easily. It's not as hard as you might think. Okay, let's start off with our first one, which is this one here, bold and underline, so it stands out, and I will put in a number. And I need to pull up my phone because my phone is doing its thing. I need to catch up with you guys. Now, normally when we deal with worlds, I'm going to call it donut myself. I am, of course, I'm being silly. You don't have to be silly. It's all right. You don't have to be silly. We've got a couple of different suggestions. So, Fred Huber, you have here Homeria. Okay, that's fine. The known world. The known world. Okay, we've got that one. Pale Riders suggested Crocath. Okay, and we've got Fred Huber's included Donutopia. I like Donutopia. Lake Duncan in the middle. Well, I feel like Lake Duncan is a different area. So you've kind of jumped the gun there a little bit there, Wally. So I feel like maybe we need to just drop this down here a little bit. And if you can't see what's going on, I do apologize, people. I am just shifting things around. We will include that idea so I don't lose it. So Lake Duncan. I think you've assumed that it's a lake, but the centre bit might be the sea. The Duncan Sea. The Duncan Sea? It's more of a sea in it. The Duncan Sea. All right, okay. There we go. All right, so let's go back to where we were doing the names. Right, you guys have got a bunch of names here, and I think you just about exhausted the possibilities. Is that right? You guys got all the ideas you want? The Coffee Sea? The Coffee Sea. Okay, so we'll add the Coffee Sea. Coffee Sea. Under locations. Next. What else have we got here? The Duncan Do. All right. Duncan Do. All right, so we've got some names there that we can work with. Some you might not like. The Crab Isles, Zealand. I suppose you could call it Zealand. Rather than New Zealand, it's just Zealand. Crab Isles, named after the person who discovered it, Howard Krusty Crumb. Okay, all right, let's put this over here. You guys are sort of jumping the gun a little bit. I see Noroak's got his second suggestion in. The Crumb Isles. Is that supposed to be the Crumb Isles? Is this supposed to be the a specific location or the world name? I think it's supposed to be a location, right? Correct? Okay, and then we have Pasterio. Come on, get it in. Okay, we've got plenty of names potentially. Some, obviously, you might not want. Some you might. Okay, but it's like, yeah. The Great Plate. Donutopia Continent. Okay, all right, so that's our first question. So let's deal with the next problem, which is, if I can actually pull it up, we need to deal with what races do we have. So that's my question to you. Hashtag. What races are there in the world? Okay, that is my question. Let's deal with some names of races, or probably the best thing is give me the name of the race if it's not really obvious, and then describe it a little bit. Less than a sentence, no more than a sentence. Less than a sentence would be brilliant, but no more than a sentence would be preferred. Okay? Okay, I stopped reading about Donutopia. It's going to be there. Yeah. The Great Plate. All right, okay, we'll put the Great Plate here. Okay, now, back to our races section, because we need to actually get this sorted out. I've got somebody whistling in my house, okay? You're going to have to deal with it because, frankly, my niece loves whistling, and there's no stopping her. It's not going to happen. I wouldn't even consider stopping her. So, yeah, prepare for the whistler. To backseat shifters, anyone is fast on... That's fine. Let's add them. Tabaxi. Cats, humanoids. It's more like a feline humanoid, isn't it? Feline. Feline. Humanoid. Okay, next we have the shifters. Humanoids that change shape. Okay, got it. Norok. Trolls. Yeah, let's play a troll. Trolls. Large green giants that regenerate. Pow. Got it. Pastry hags. Oh my gosh. Pastry hags. I'm not even sure what to put there with that. Pastry hags. Gremlins. Yes, okay. Let's move that up a bit. Gremlins. What is a gremlin? Well, we know what a gremlin is. We'll just keep going. Gremlins. Mammothkin. Gnomes. So we've got 6. We could stop here. That's a good starting point. We don't have to keep going. Okay, we're all good just stopping right there. We don't have to go any further. Now, what I will do is I'm going to prompt you on the next one. Okay? Remember, you don't have to create all of your races or species all at once. And whether you call it species or race, frankly, who gives a toss? Okay? It's up to you. I think the discussion around that is probably unimportant. But let's give you another task. Let's get you to create some gods. So, hashtag. What? Who are the gods and goddesses and gods? Okay, gods. That's my question. So, name. Give me a name. And domain description. So what are they the god of? Yeah. Let's see how you do with that one. Bum, bum, bum. So I'm still trying to write down all of this stuff. You guys have got way too many ideas real fast. The more we do this, I've discovered the faster you guys get at doing this and the better you get at doing this too. Okay. The Sentinel Weevils. Okay, Fred Huber. Sentient Weevils. Don't know what that is, but I'll just write it down. Devourers of crops and especially wheat. Oh, I see what you've given me. You've given me a bit more information. There we go. I'll take that. Devourers of crops and wheat. Wow. Okay, got that one. Centaur. Ooze people. Oozy humanoid. The oozy humanoid. Whatever that might be. Trollkin. Well, we've got trolls anyway, so that's cool. Oozy people. Next. We got more than enough races, so we don't have to. We can probably put that to bed. The baker created it. Halflings. Dominant humanoids love the... Right, okay, halflings, fine. Halflings are in there. God of Dough. Kraken's name is Munchkin. What is that? The Kraken's name is Munchkin? I'm lost. What did I miss? Somewhere along the line here, you've written something in here, and I've... Munchkin. We can put Munchkin in here. Munchkin. Can we? Munchkin. I guess we can. Munchkin. What else? Somebody, I'm sure, put down... Ooze. The Sensor C area created by a comet consisting of a giant kraken and other small organisms that evolved into humans, elves, dwarves, halflings, and beastmen. Right, well, I guess beastmen. Beastmen. Fine, we got beastmen. I think I've got down all of the suggestions that you have. Okay, now we're into... Now we only need, when it comes to gods and goddesses, we really only need 5 at the most. If you're going to have multiple gods and not just one, your world could just have 1, and that's it. We don't have to have a huge number there, okay? So it's not the end of the world if you just have 1. It's all right. Gods and goddesses, or goddesses and gods. So let's go the other way. And gods. Okay, and let's go here. Bold, underline. Again, I don't think it really matters whether we start with the word goddesses or God. I'm just changing it up just to see if I can stir people a little bit. Okay, right. So let's deal with Mr. Wally DM here, the great Pillberry. The Great Pillberry? What is the Great Pillberry supposed to be? God of Dough. God of Dough. God of Dough and Baking. Okay, dough and baking. Okay, alright, that's fine. No, that's not and baking. Right, so let's get that one to... No, it's a D. It's a D. Okay, right. All right, that's good. I apologize if I'm looking down all the time, but I kind of have to. If I'm going to show you this screen, I need to be able to look at my phone, and my phone is tiny. My eyes are old, and it's down here, not up here. So that's why my eyes are here rather than here. Okay, here we go. So, Norok. Holri's the god of world creation and donuts with holes. Okay, here we go. Pale Rider's got Shadow Kiss, goddess of death and darkness. Sprinkly, the goddess of toppings, color, and freedom of choice. Okay, this is amusing. I agree. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut and paste. I'm going to do it real fast. I'm going to change my screen for a second. And so we're going to go here. I'm going to give you the next task. World creation stories. You know how I was talking about world creation stories before? This is where you're going to have to make one. Hashtag. What is the world creation story? Now the world, can I just make it clear? When it comes to world creation stories are like so strange. Like world creation stories are utterly bizarre. So there's no limit to how silly, strange, and bizarre and weird they are. Because I can assure you that many world creation stories from different cultures are utterly bizarre. Probably the most bizarre one is that Darwin's evolution. That one is pretty bizarre. So fire away your crazy world creation ideas. Nothing is too silly, because seriously, they always do come off as being rather odd. So you don't have to worry about feeling self-conscious about that sort of thing. I am going to cut and paste all of your world, all your gods and goddesses now. That'll just help me speed up this process. I'll bring you back to this document in a second, but yeah. Okay, I've got this one. So, Holio, God of the world's creation, and donuts with holes. I'm going to see. Okay, all right. All right, Noroak. Shadow Kiss, Goddess of Death and Darkness, Pale Rider. We'll get yours in there. And we have, that makes 3. We only need 2 more and we're pretty much ready to go. Sprinkle. Sprinkle, the goddess of toppings, colour, and freedom of choice. Dear. Look, when you're making your own world, you don't have to be as silly as this, okay? We're doing this because I thought it would be fun. And, you know, it's not what we are doing or creating, it's the process that I'm trying to communicate to people. If you hadn't figured it out, it's the process. Sugar, the goddess of haste and slow. Okay, all right, Sugar. Sugar, haste and slow. It's the up and the down. All right, Sugar. And we've got that. And then I believe we have one more. And you guys are coming up with your... Now, I saw somebody put a creation story further back. I might have to go back and grab that. Quite fitting. Quite fitting, yes. Filler. The goddess of cream and jam-filled pastries. Okay, all right. We've got 6, so we're all good with our filler. God. Pastries. Okay, so we've got some pretty wacky little names for our various gods and goddesses. We've got 6 of them, so that's a good start. We're going to deal with no more than, say, I don't know. I think honestly that having more than 5 creation stories is just egotistical. So we're not going to go past 5. If we get 5, we're done. Okay, 5 is enough. So how do we do this? And I see you're putting a picture of a donut in there. So Noroak's one, I'm going to have to decipher. Here we go. The world was created accidentally by a god on a whim after having a bizarre thought. I like donuts. I like worlds. Oh, okay. So you put. I gotta get rid of that. I like donuts. Donuts. I like worlds. What if I made a donut world? That's it. Okay. All right. That's our world creation story. Gods have strange thoughts, and suddenly world created. Fred Huber sounds like a slice of heaven. I need to go back and grab that one. First was the kneading, and then came the... All right, here we go, Fred. Let's get this down. So that makes 2 of them so far. First was the kneading. Then came the great fry. Then the land was placed on a plate and covered in coffee. Jeez. Look, can I just say that there are some really strange different fantasy worlds, like having a turtle floating around in space, sitting on top of a whole bunch of things. Oh, you know what I'm talking about here, people. I'm talking about Pratchett's world. Okay, it's pretty odd, like how the world is structured. It is a strange one. Okay, so we can do whatever we like here. And you can too. So here we go. Giono, the god of hunger and empty plates. Oh my, there we go. There's a lot of food. Food references are pretty big right now. I'm going to bring you back to this document in a second. But what I would like, the ball of celestial. Okay, let's pull this across. I'm doing a lot of cutting and pasting because it's just faster right now. That will make us 3. A ball of celestial serpents struck a god, and as they were devoured, the serpents were petrified. The god who was devoured used his last bit of power to manufacture life on the giant ball of serpents. There we go. That is number 3. And thank you, Pale Rider. Nice. Fred Huber's contributed. I need to go back here because I know somebody started writing something. Here we go. Pale Rider here has got a little bit of a creation story, but it's not the entire creation story. It's sort of like part of the hole in the center. The center sea was created by a comet that consisted of a giant kraken and other small organisms that evolved into humans, elves, dwarves, halflings, and beastmen. Okay, all right. So it's not the full creation story, but it's part of the lore of your world, right? And I believe we're doing quite well. I'm going to bring you back to our document because I think we should. We still need, I would say, how many? How many do we really need? One more, and I think we're ready to move on to our next step. So there we go. This is what you guys have been working on. Okay, creation stories. We have 4. Well, we have 3, and 1 is sort of part of the world. So if we could have 2 more, that would be great. Whatever you might want to come up with, that's up to you. We have our different deities. We actually have 7 deities now, all very baking-like, all very tongue-in-cheek, for sure. How long have we been at it? We've been doing this for just over, or roughly, not even 30 minutes. 30 minutes we've managed to do our gods, our species and race, our world names. I've drawn a map of our world very quickly and a starting location, which is a village or town. So we're doing pretty well, if you ask me, for that time frame. Not bad, if you ask me. And we have a couple of locations already sort of highlighted and suggested. So, how are we doing? Have we got something else here? The world was a hag's failed experiment. I like that idea. Let's take that. I got to take my glasses off. I can't see the small print. The world was a hag's failed experiment. Simple as that. Nice and easy. Thank you, Norok. Okay, so if we get one more world creation story that you guys can come up with, that's great. Otherwise, I'm going to move on. The world was created. It was created by a hag's failed experiment. There we go. Got it. All right, so next we're going to be doing locations. So let me do the hashtag thing. What locations do we have in the world? Now remember, we need somewhere to go. Like, we need places they can go, but we also need a starting location. It's going to be really important to have at least a starting point, but we also need a place for them to go to. So we've got the Duncan Sea, we have the Coffee Sea, the crumbling, the crumble isles. We could call it the crumbling isles. The crumbling isles. The Great Plate. So you guys come up with some various names of places, and I will get us ready for our next one, which we'll be doing shortly. But let's move this down. Sea of the Kraken. There we go. Sea of the Kraken. We've just established that there is a Kraken to deal with. La. Sea of the Kraken. Fillingbort Village. There we go. There's our starting place. Fillingbort Village. Okay. So look, you'll find when you're doing your own creation, hello, never negative space, you'll find that when it comes to putting your world together, you don't actually need a lot of information. Sometimes the name enough, depending on what you've given it, gives you a lot of information about it, because something like the Fillingbort Village. Now we know that it's a small place, okay? Fillingbort might suggest historically there's something related to somebody called Fillingbert, or that it's related to whatever industry or economy is attached to that. So we've already established a whole lot of stuff. Okay, you should be thinking in terms of that. When we say the Sea of the Kraken, again, it's a sea. We know it's a big open sea area, but there's a kraken. Probably at some point there's a kraken there, and if there isn't, there is now. Okay, so you've actually built in a lot of your exploration and what lives there by just doing that. This is why I do it this way. Now, for those of you who are thinking, hang on, Fred, there's a problem here, because I want a highly in-depth world with lots of nuance and detail, and so there are two ways to build worlds, and I would say there are two different types of people who build worlds, and the one is, actually, I feel like a speech is coming on. I'm going to make it quick. I'm doing the speech, and then you guys can start throwing your ideas out in terms of locations. I'll get back to this. Let's. I feel it's coming on. Let's let's get comfortable. I'll make this quick, people. Don't you worry. Do I have water? I need some water. I'm thirsty. I don't often do this, but it's been on my mind a while. So there are two types of ways that you can build a world. There's you build it and it takes you forever, or you build it and you build it fast. And what essentially that means is the people who spend a lot of time building one world generally only ever build one world. And those people who build it fast, and I'm one of those people, build many worlds, and I don't reuse them. I discard them and I make a new one. So the benefits are, one, you build a world with a lot of detail and information, and you only get to do one, generally, or very few, or you build many worlds and you tailor them to your players and the group that you're playing with. I enjoy the idea of having many different worlds. So that is the trade-off. One you can do quickly, it takes you a long time, but even if you look at it that way, they all start off with being a starting point. You still have to have the basic structure. No matter how you do it, it always starts the same way. There's nothing wrong with building a world, one world, and having lots of detail. But there's nothing wrong with making a world that doesn't have a lot of detail because you make many of them. It is different approach, a different way of dealing with things. So do not let people give you a hard time for having an approach that doesn't fit them. I've always found that, for me, making many different worlds appeals to me and the players I play with. Which means I can do this quite quickly and fast. It's a lot easier for me. I find a lot of people who just want to build one world and have lots of detail, they don't transition well sometimes into building lots of different worlds because they don't see any value in it. Okay? It's strange how different approaches wind up creating boundaries and barriers when they shouldn't. Pick the route that you wanted to pick and just do that one. But they always start the same. You just have a basic structure. Okay, I have finished having my little hop blah 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 blah, and my hat is off because God, I don't think I can handle that. If I keep it on, it's not going to work. So the hat is gone. Okay, let's get back to business, shall we? I see you guys have got lots of different ideas in here. The Bank of Unresolvable. You guys have come up with a whole bunch of ideas here. Oh my Lord. Okay, all right. So I think I'm going to have to do some cutting and pasting again. So we're going to do a lot of cutting and pasting. While you're doing that, I'm going to be giving you a new prompt. How's that sound? What are the monsters in this world? Hashtag. What monsters are in the world? And as I said before, you really only need to have about 5 to start with. Okay, so I'll let you go down that route. Helensville, Greta Town. Oh my gosh. Okay, I see what you're doing with that. Ha 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 ha. Ah, for those of you who know where I live, that's what's going on there. All right, so let's deal with your various locations. I believe I've got the right screen up. Yes, you get my face while I do some cutting and pasting. For the poll, I answered yes, but trying is probably a better answer. Okay. It's not about trying, you just do it. There's nothing. The Glazed Mountains. Long Shot. Hello, Long Shot. Nice to have you. I notice a new name. We're putting the Glazed Mountains. Dear. I like your style. The Glazed Mountains. Hilarious. And they probably are glazed. Glazed Mountains. What else have you got here now? Ooh, starting village is called Spoonville. A place with, it's got a spoon factory. Okay, Fred Huber. I'll take that. I'm sure you guys are coming up with lots of interesting ideas for your monsters. You keep doing that while I get these locations down. We've got 8 locations already, by the way, people. So we've got more than enough. A microenvironment of germs and bacteria and a PC's leftover food. I feel like that is a... Is that supposed to be a creation story? I think that's your creation story going on there, isn't it? I think you've put it in a creation story. The coastal town of Mandeville. Okay, Mandeville it is. Mandeville is a coastal town. I'll put that in. And I just need to cut here and paste there. Space. Coastal town. There we go. Isn't Mandeville based? Oh, I think I know what you're doing there. Bacteria. Yes. Bacteria. All right. Okay. Bacteria. We've got a place called Bacteria. I'm not sure what there is at Bacteria, but we've got something Bacteria. Latan, the coastal coffee cove city. Okay, we have a coastal cove city. Nice one. All right. There's a lot of coffee going on, I've discovered here. A lot of coffee going with our coastal towns and cities. This is the problem when you draw the shape of a donut. You build a world as an outline, and the PCs discover the details. Exactly what I'm trying to keep pointing out to people. Caves of the gnashing teeth. I love it. That tells us a lot, doesn't it? It's probably alive. It's probably not a cave. It's probably a creature, just really big, and it's under something. Okay, licorice leeches. Oh my gosh, the great cavity, pit of despair and pain. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's grab this. I'm just grabbing stuff real fast because otherwise I won't be able to keep up. I've fallen into this trap before. Not going to happen again. Okay, you guys keep throwing ideas out there, and I will keep putting them in, and then we'll go back to the document. The great cavity, the pit of despair and pain. What is that? That is the root of tooth decay. Discarded worlds. That's the new world idea. Trash world. Well, it could be. We can do that sometime. We'll do that in about 2 months. How's that sound? The bank of undesirable treasures. Oh gosh. Okay. I rather like that. Let's grab that one. Bank of undesirable treasures. I'm not even. I feel like the name itself tells you everything you need to know. I don't even want to put any more details behind that. And then we have this one here, which is a play on where I live, which is Helensville. We have Hanselville and Greta Town. So this is based off Hansel and Gretel. Hansville and Gretel Town. Okay, we have our locations. And I suppose the old cake house. The old cake house. The old cake house is made of candy and pastries. Yes. Okay, we're gonna Hansville and Greta's Town. We're gonna have that. All right. So you guys have done very well with that. I feel like your monster creation has been pretty on par with what we've normally done before. So let us go back and have a look at what I have dropped in here before I give you the new prompt. Here we go. So this is this one. Here we go. This is what we have. I have dropped in the information fairly quickly. We have a whole bunch of different things here. I haven't written any information about them. I think most of them kind of tell you a little bit about the story of what's going on there, so you can do sort of fill in the gaps yourself. But you get the basic gist. Really, quite often, just a couple of words is all you need. Monsters, we're going to do monsters shortly. But you guys have done a whole bunch, so I feel like we don't need to do any more monsters. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get us set up for magic. Because I feel like we're dealing with a place that definitely has magic now. Yeah, I think we've established it's a magical world. So we'll do magic next. So bingo, hashtag. How does magic work in the world? That is your question. How does magic work in the world? Magic is based on sugar and yeast. Okay. All right. So I'll cut and paste. I'll transfer this stuff over in a second. I need to get some water into me because I'm getting dry. It is really warm right now. Drop that there. Crush it like I might actually have some muscles, but don't. And grab the next bottle and unload that in there as well. And I will get your monsters into the list. Bum, bum, bum. You might be thinking, yes, but Fred, we've only got less than 40 minutes to get magic, technology, and government done. Are you really kidding? You've got to be kidding, man. It's going to happen. Okay, here we go. I am comfortable. My door is open. Yep, feeling just getting the groove. It's about making sure your backside is comfy in the pillow that is sitting on your chair. So now, here we go. While you are coming up with those ideas, which I'm sure you can do without too much trouble, how magic works, there are going to be all sorts of strange things going on. I will do a bit of cutting and pasting. I will transfer all your monsters over to the monster list for our world, and then we'll go from there. When it comes to magic, I think 5 ideas for magic is more than enough. We stop. It's like the magic word. Like, what's the magic number? It's 5. How long does it take to do something? 2 weeks, but how many things do you need in your world? 5. We'll just keep going with that. Gingerbread City, capital. Okay, so this is locations, isn't it? Gingerbread City. We'll put that in the location area. Gingerbread. And coffee ooze, caffeine crustaceans, sugar slime. Ooh, Norok is really firing up today. We've got some odd looking creatures here. And ooze. We've got a caffeine crustacean. And sugar slime. Do do do, bam bam, sugar slime. Yeah, there we go. What else have we got here? By the time I get down to this, you guys will have filled in all the magic stuff pretty easily. Defective mechanical guard dog. All right. I don't know what they're called, but it's a defective mechanical guard dog. What is it called? Don't know. You tell me. I've got it in. It's there. There you go. It's done negative space. Donut dragons. Yes, donut dragons. Donut dragons it is. Do donut dragons sit on a pile of pastry? It breathes scalding chocolate. Oh, does it? Alright, so we're going to... Let's include this under our donut dragon. Paste in here. Okay. And licorice leeches. Oh, nice. The licorice leech. What else? Bear Claw Cove. This is a location. So long shot. We've got a new location. Bear Claw Cove. We'll add you into locations. Bear Claw Cove, and I just need to grab the. Change it up in size. Okay, that's done. Done. That's under locations. What else you got here? Teatopia. No coffee this time. Teatopia. What does that mean? City of Orleans. What does that mean? We're putting in the City of Orleans. Isn't Orleans a city already in the real world? Okay. We haven't changed anything. We've decided, let's just put Orleans in there. Teatopia. I don't know what Teatopia is supposed to refer to, but I'm just going to put Teatopia into the monster section. What is a Teatopia? I have no idea. Was it supposed to live there? Norike, you have to tell me. Sprinkle ant swarms. Yes, sprinkle ant swarms. Oh, okay. Sprinkle ant swarms. And then we're into magic. So we've got 8 different types of odd looking creatures and monsters related for our world. And yeah. I mean, whether you think they're a good idea or a bad idea, again, it's not really that important. It's just get something down, okay? So that's what we're doing, is we're getting things down, and we're doing it fast, and we're doing it rapidly, and then we can decide later on what we like and what we don't like. I think a lot of people get sort of caught up in the, do I really want that? Is that really a good idea? When they should be asking themselves, what have I achieved? When would I like to use this? Right now. Why wait? Don't wait. So locations I've updated. We've got a few more there. We have our monsters, the coffee ooze, the caffeine crustaceans, sugar slime, some sort of mechanical guard dog, donut dragons, licorice leeches, Teatopia. I don't know what that is. What is a Teatopia? Sprinkle ant swarms. We've got a few different things here. We're moving on to magic, so I'm going to transfer magic across. I just need to drink some water. Heretics, you guys are having a battle over how magic works now. I can see it now. All right, so I think we've got more than enough ideas there. I'm going to transfer them over. I'm going to move you on to technology. Hashtag. How does what technology is in the world? Let's deal with the technology question. Indeed, they must be petrified. Sure. Okay. Let us deal with the magic side of things. Here we go. 3 types of magic. Nature magic comes from world spirits. Religious magic comes from the gods. And wizard magic comes from the cosmos. Okay. Let's put that there. Three types. I think we have got that down. Thank you very much. Got that. That's Pale Rider's contribution. Norok. Magic is produced by thinking of recipes and the pastry. The more on point the recipe, the more potent the spell. Okay, it's around food now. Okay. All right, Norok. Got it. Let's put that in. Sweet. It is very sweet. Or maybe it's savoury. Maybe it's savoury. Verbal components are replaced with sounds that can be made with the body. Okay, all right. Dear. That's funny. So, I also would like to point out, in different parts of your world, you might have different types of magic. You don't have to have one type of magic in your world. You could have more than one. The pumpkin pie. Pumpkin pie. Eating the caffeine crustacean grants the benefits of the haste spell. Okay, all right, we'll put that down. Remember, one of the questions I had is, are there magic shops in this world? Are there magic shops? Because it's always the question that players ask. Eating the caffeine crustacean grants the benefits of the haste spell. And also, can magic bring people back to life? And can magic teleport people? Yes or no? These are questions that are pretty important. Okay, there are things that are going to come up. Vicious mockery is the armpit fart noise while sticking out your tongue. Oh my gosh, okay. Okay, alright, let's... Armpit fart noise while sticking out your tongue. Okay, alright, I got it. A little bit of adjustment. How about we name the defective mechanical sparks? They are sparks, yes, sparks. Sparks, yeah, let's do that. We'll call them sparks. Thank you, I've got that down, it's done. Teatopia is a city where only tea is allowed, no coffee. Oh, I see. Okay, it's a location. It's not a monster. I thought it was a monster. Teatopia. Bam, bam, bam. And back into locations. We got many more locations than we really needed starting off. So, Teatopia. A city where only tea is allowed and no coffee. Okay. Alright, Teatopia. Heretics. What is that? Heretics? Oh, as the monsters, we want heretics. I see. Now I get it. Fred Herbert. Took a little while. We're talking about heretics as in... No. Oh, I know. This is referring to the magic thing. So many ideas. A special type of magic key uses the user's mental spirit. Okay. Alright, let's do that. Bum, bum, bum. Paste. Mental spirit. And look, we've got 7 ideas for magic. We haven't answered some of the questions we probably should have, but we've got some stuff to work with. Okay, so we're all good. Indeed, there must be purified. Okay, all right. Baking is very well developed. They can make baked Alaska without refrigeration. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. There's a pun going on there. I just realised you're in the technology section, and the puns are already coming out. Okay, let's do that. Let's have a look here. What have you come up with? Chocolate wheels. Water wheels for liquid chocolate rivers. Okay, fine. I'll do that. Paste. Chocolate wheels. Water wheels for liquid chocolate rivers. Okay, lovely. Thank you very much. Tech everywhere from AI to stone wheel, depending on the location. Grain windmills. Okay, we're going to have some grain windmills. I'm just trying to fill up my technology section right now. If we get 5, that'll be enough. There is technology everywhere from AI to the stone wheel, depending on the location. Okay. All right, that's that one. Got it. The grain mill. Fred, I know you dislike them in general, but it is still a question you need to ask yourself. If you're making your world, you need to ask that question. Grain mill. It's technology. Yes. And what else have we got here? You got a creature? You got a creature name? I just don't. What does it look like? What does this creature look like? Long shot. Here we go. Let's put the name in there. I don't know what that looks like though. Got no idea. It seems like a dinosaur. Feels like a dinosaur. I can't even pronounce it. Trimerosaurus. Trimerosaurus. Okay. Okay, where are we? Here we go. Teleportation technology. No magic items, just enchanted pastries. Okay. Alright, so we're not having any magic items, we're just having pastries are the thing. It's the way of the pastry. Okay. The consumable magic items. No magic items, just enchanted pastries. The enchanted pastries can do anything but must be made by a master baker. Alright, okay, I got it. Magic is useless if it can't bring back the mostly dead with true love. Okay, alright. Alright, let's... dear. Some of the things you guys write. Magic can teleport people and magic can bring someone back to life as long as the dead person wants to live and the god allows it. Okay, so we're keeping to our basic tenets that you see in most D&D campaigns for magic. Technology, we probably need to just finish that one up, and then we're getting on to government. Oh my god, do we have to cover government? It's just basically who's in power. Heretics was referring to the tea-only town. Oh, okay. Magic shops are usually potions or small trinket items. Okay. Okay, Pale Rider, we'll put in that in. Man. It's a good thing I can cut and paste. Heretic, those who outlaw coffee. Okay. What's this? Metallurgy stopped at cast iron, for that is the ultimate cookware. Oh, I see. Oh, this is technology. Very funny. Very funny. Here we go. Metallurgy. All right, so we have technology for our world. We have 5 ideas for technology. So I feel like we need to move on. We need to move on. It's time to happen. It's going to happen. We're doing it now. So hashtag What sort of government, if any, is in the world? There we go. This is your question. And I've covered what the different types of government are already. I will do it again if I have to. Yes, it is a dinosaur. Pocket bacon is the ultimate healing food. Okay, pocket bacon. Oh, God. Here we go. We're always... Fred, you and bacon, man. Bacon, bacon, bacon. Give me more bacon. I don't have enough bacon. Okay, so... a strange type of dinosaur. I don't know what else to put there, so I'm just going to put that. I don't know what does it describe it to me? Do I know what this dinosaur looks like? I don't know. You tell me. Anyway, let's get back to where we need to be, which is show you what I have typed in from your ideas. Have technology. Okay, we have the metallurgy that stopped at cast iron. We have our grain mills. We have technology everywhere. So obviously different areas can have different types of technology, and we have AI to the stone wheel. Oh my gosh, there's a lot. We have chocolate wheels for liquid chocolate rivers. We have baking is very well developed. I feel like there's maybe a lot going on here that maybe can be fleshed out, but that's all right. We'll deal with government. And I'll underline. Now, when you're doing this is essentially like a brainstorm. When you're doing this, you don't have to accept every idea. You can just say, I put that down. It was an idea, but I don't really like it. I don't have to use it. Because you won't have to present everything all at once. If you go to different locations, there's going to be different government, or there'll be no government. So you don't have to present everything that you come up with straight away. If there's something that you're like, not really that keen on it, I'm going to leave that alone. You come back to it later on, decide what you want to do with it. Do you know what I mean? So yes, that would be my advice to you. Do not get caught up. I've said this before. Do not get caught up in the importance of the stuff you create in your world, because you have no idea what your players will find entertaining and interesting, and you'll never know, like, unless you go outside of your comfort zone, you'll never actually create anything that isn't just something somebody else generated. Get what I mean? If you want to just do ChatGPT, it will spit out what has always been there. If you want something that isn't ChatGPT, okay, and has not been done before, then you might have to present a whole bunch of really unusual and abstract concepts, and you just siphon through that and change it till it's where you think it needs to be, or where your players think it needs to be. I've talked, so Mr. Welsh, Glenn has 5 pillars of play, and I always find it interesting when he says the 5 pillars of play for him are combat, exploration, the dialogue aspect of your tabletop role-playing game, which is your social interaction, I guess, world building, and character development. And I think he's right. I have a fair amount of humour incorporated into things that I do when I'm doing anything with my group, because if I don't, they will put it there anyway. I do not get a choice. Okay, it is going to happen. The overarching threat of to the world is the sage, a gargantuan about to eat the donut. Oh, I see. Okay, well, let's do this. So this is our it's not so much government, but it's a force to be reckoned with. Yes. Okay. surge. Okay. Okay. Okay, so this, I see where you're going with this. I see where you're going with this, Noroak. I'll put it down. I'll put it down. Mostly feudalism with some cities having representative republics. Okay. All right, we can do that. Kitty Cat DM. Hello, how are you, Kitty Cat DM? Do you have some ideas you would like to include into this world? We're doing government right now, but I'm taking all. I mean, I'm going to be able to keep up with this. It's going in. I mean, you might not be able to see what I'm doing, but I'm dropping it in as I look through the chat, and there's some really interesting ideas. So the donatorship ruled by the fattest, most doughy person. Oh my gosh. Okay, all right. Let's see here. This is getting very specific, isn't it? Here we go. Ruled by the fattest, most doughy person. Is there such a thing? Is there such a thing? I don't know. So we need maybe 2 more, and we're good. Chef government. The country is controlled by the two chefs called Leon chefs. Every year they cook off to decide who's the leader. Oh, okay, I see what you've done here. All right, very amusing, very amusing. Two chefs called. Okay, all right. I think I've got that done. It's in. Well done. Good job. There could be a group of food judges who vote on who has the greatest cooking. The person who wins could be the ruler. The person who has been repeatedly winning is someone who constantly yells and swears at people. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Let's drop that in there as well. Calrell, hello. How are you? Okay, let's see. This is going to be a little bit interesting. All right, I'm going to share this with you in a second. I have tried to clean up as much of it as I can. It is no, that's not right. Do it again, Fred. Come on. There we go. There we go. All right. And what else we've got here? Pastoracy, ruled by a group of the most unrenowned bakers. Oh, I see what you've done there. Clever. Okay. And I think theocracy republic ruled by priest classes with a basic constitution. Okay. Cockocracy. Oh, I see. Okay, all right. I see. Yeah. Okay, all right. I've almost got them all. Theocracy ruled by priest class. Yes. And then this last one, and I think we're going to show you what you've cooked up here. And you'll see that we did this in like less than an hour and a half. It was doable. Yes, there are a lot of people here helping do this. I totally agree. So it's not a fair, it's not fair to say, oh, look, it's easy, because there are a lot of people presenting ideas. But it can be done. It can be done. We've got a few words here that don't exist. I'm dealing with it. Okay. And then we got the Crumbled Collective, ruled by an evil shadow group known as the Crumbles. Ruled by a giant construct mind, a magical AI. Oh, okay, we're going that way, are we? All right. It's Skynet is back. And I think we've exhausted. Yeah. What is the name, Cal-Rel? What is the name of this AI? Give us a name for this thing. And Bob doesn't count. You can't call it Bob. Okay. Okay. All right. AI, magical AI, magical artificial intelligence, artificial. I think we got it all, people. All right, so moving back over to, now that I've cut and paste everything, this is probably the most we've done with government in the past. So everything that you suggested is now there. It's all there. There's 9 different ideas. Take the ones you want, ditch the rest, move on. Okay, maybe use 1, maybe use 2, maybe use none. But, there's plenty of things going on there that you can work with. We have our technology. Okay, we have our magic and how magic works. We've got plenty of ideas going on here. Some of them will be different in different areas. They don't have to be the same. We have 8 monsters. I almost feel like we need more monsters. Give me more monsters. Here we go. Hashtag. Give me more monsters for the world. As I said, we only need 5 to start with, but behemoths. Oh, I see where you went with that. Okay, so we've got our various different creatures for our world. We have various location names, a little bit of information on some of them, not all of them, but the names themselves sort of tell the story. We have world creation stories. We've got 6 of them. Six. Some of them are very, very silly, I know. Gods and goddesses, deities. We've got 7 goddesses and gods. Species and race that you can play. There we go. We've got them. We've got names for the world, or potentially the continents, or whatever you want to do. So we've done really well, if you ask me. I think Donutopia is quite appealing. Homeria is appealing as well. Duncan Do, Gaia is kind of very familiar. Pisterio, so yes. Krokoth could work. So look, if we can do this, and this is more than you need to start running your world. It really is. We've got our map. We've got our map done, okay, and it took us 30 seconds to draw it. Literally 30 seconds. It's all the basic important stuff is done. And it took me 30 seconds to draw this. This is just the first draft of your map for your world. You draw some continents with a pen or a pencil and you're done, okay? That's all you need to start with. And yes, you can show this to your players. I've done this. I've drawn this and give it to my players and say, here's the world. And they'll say, what's the name of the world? And I'll say, you tell me what you think it's called. And then I'll write it on the piece of paper. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. You can create a world name yourself. Do you need a town, a starting point, okay, or a village? That's fine. So there you go. You draw a road or a crossroads. You put some buildings in there. You label the buildings when you're ready. You're ready to go. Okay, they're going to ask you, is there a tavern in town? And you just write tavern wherever it is, and then you give it a name. Okay, if you've got a name of your village or town, then it's just whatever the village or town name is, and it's tavern next to it. That's it. It's really, really easy stuff. Okay, it's not hard to do. Anybody can do this. You do not need to be a professional, and you do not need to spend 6 months, 3 months, 2 weeks. You can get it done in less than 2 hours. It can be done in an hour and a half, and you're ready to play. That's all the players want to do, is just play around with the stuff you come up with and the stuff they come up with. So just let them do that. With practice, you can solo make a world outline in an hour. And Fred Huber is absolutely correct. You absolutely could. Yep. And we have a name for our AI, so I'm going to grab this name for the AI. It's quite entertaining. Let's see, where am I? I'm going over here. This is the AI one, isn't it? Add in this. So we're going to come back. I do this every 2 months or every 2.5 months. We roll back round and we do world building each time. So if you are like, oh, but I can't do it on my own, I need you guys to be around to help me, then look, that's fine. Nobody's ever said, Fred, I need to make a world. This is the type of world we want to make. And then said, can the chat help me? I'm being quite honestly open to that if that's what you would like us to do. If somebody says, I need help making a world, can the chat help me come up with some ideas? You don't have to take all the ideas down. I'll write everything down. Okay, pretty much everything. Not everything. Sometimes things come into the chat that I won't put down, but you could. And, you know, you can do it that way. If you're worried about, I can't do it because it's too hard, then my community are really good at doing this sort of thing. They will help you. So you do not need to concern yourself with that sort of thing. It is not as hard as it might sound. It really isn't. And I think I've got just about everything in here. I've got government, I've got that, I've got this, I've got that, blah, 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 blah. And then we had something going on here. I can't remember where it was supposed to go. I'm probably going to miss it. What was supposed to be called, what's not supposed to be called Bob? I can't remember. I have no idea what was not supposed to be called Bob. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're out of time. I need to finish up. I need to go to work. Okay, we will be back again. And I see a whole bunch of monsters being dropped into the chat right now. Thank you for doing so. I do appreciate it. If I get a chance, I will drop them into that document. I can't promise you I'm going to get this onto Patreon that quickly. I am well and truly falling behind, which means when I do go on holiday, I've got a lot of work ahead of me. But I'm trying to push onto Patreon much more of the tools that we build and more of the adventures, because I know sometimes it's nice to have something already kind of mostly done and then you add your own little bits and pieces to it. So I'm all for that. But this is definitely something, yeah, this is something that will get up there. It just might not be straight away. If there is something you want on Patreon, just ask me and I will speed up that process. Okay? That's what I'm going to say. So this is where we have to sign off. I'm sorry. I will be back tomorrow. We're building a character tomorrow. We're going to build a martial character for Ultramodern 5. That's right. Ultramodern 5. It is 5e compatible. It's like, yes, it's like a cowboy. Anyway, so look, thank you to everybody who's been watching and listening. I do appreciate it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking part in the poll. Have you created your own role-playing game world? Yes, 66%. No, 14%. Let's get them over into the yes section. Incomplete, 14%. Get you into the yes section. Just watching, 4% out of 21 votes. Nice. And yes, Discord is a very good place to go if you want to join in with people. That does work quite nicely as well. But there's a reason why we have the live stream, so that you can kind of interact with everybody and bounce ideas off each other's brains, okay? Game masters and players unite. So huge thank you to all of my patrons who support me so I can keep running this program, and I have every intentions of continuing to do so we get more people making their own worlds and getting things done. Get it started. Do it before you can die or get sick, okay? That's my advice to you. So those of people in chat make the difference here. So thank you, Fred Huber, Noroak, both patrons. Pale Rider, thank you for input. Cal Rel, I appreciate you being here. It really does help when you pop in your ideas. Negative Space. And if I've missed anybody in the chat, Kitty Cat DM, thank you for being here as well. Fred Huber, of course. Can't miss out Fred. Fred is like patron, and he puts in a lot of effort to try to be here a lot of the time. Long shot, thank you for putting in your ideas. Wow, there's been a few people. There's been a lot going on today. We've really had a lot of chaos and a lot of ideas, a lot of fun, if you ask me. So wherever you are in the world, whether it be the morning, the afternoon, the night, or the wee early morning, please look after yourself, your family, and your friends. Be nice to your neighbours. Oh, I forgot about Wally DM. Thank you, buddy, for showing up. Don't work too hard. Please don't freak out on that book and hurt yourself, because we need you to be around, okay? I need to be able to hang out with you in a couple of weeks and play whatever game we come up with that we're going to be playing with. Probably a new one. Until next time, keep rolling those 20s.